All right, so we're out here running, I'm gonna grab your junk. Running below the belt line, running an LCR with some rounds. All right, so we're gonna field test this shit in time.
I'm going to pause us here on an unflattering still shot of my exposed belt line to talk about what's going on here. So what I am wearing is a Ruger LCR. This one is a 5-shot 38 special variant, which I'm using sims in. So I'm down 3 capacity from what I would normally be carrying, but otherwise everything is the same for the gun. I am running that in the Filster Enigma Express, completely unmodified, just out of the box, put it on, the way that I normally carry. This gun is sitting at the roughly 1230 position, and to the left of it, so just right next to it, as close as I can get it, clipped onto the Enigma chassis, is where I would normally run my Zulu Bravo Dart or my clinch pick. For this Evo, I'm using the orange foam tack knife, which is the closest sim variant knife that you can get to either of those designs. I chose this still image because while it's not very flattering, it does very clearly show that there's no exaggerated gun dick or excess bulge where the Enigma is below the pant line. There's nothing visible at the belt line. There's not even a visible entry point where, you know, that triangle where I would normally do my 3-finger stab. So this is the tightest, highest up deep carry that I would ever walk around with. The Evo that I'm about to participate in is normally done with a defender with preferred gear laying on the ground on their back, feet facing towards a standing aggressor. The normal rules here are very minimal and straightforward. Basically, don't be a douche, and as an aggressor, you are not to go for the defender's gun or equipment unless it is visually identified or felt through grappling. This is not the case here. We were definitely pressure testing this in worst case scenario, showing everyone exactly where I'm carrying my stuff, how I'm doing that, and then starting this Evo with an aggressor that immediately dives for the exact location of my gear. So our layers of artificiality here are actually disadvantageous for me, the defender here, because the odds that someone is going to ID me and know exactly where I'm carrying and then make the decision to immediately go for that, well, it's slim. But we test stuff in worst case. So here it is.
Show a thumbs up, fellas. No deal. Show me fair play. Ready. Go! Get on him, go!
Pausing here to note that at this point, I have felt 3 bump attempts to get at that gun. The first one is I'm going down with his right hand. The second one, a jab with his right hand, and then now in this still a third attempt to curl into the belt line with his left hand. This is where I actually feel fingertips against my lower belly junk area, and I am bringing a hand up to see what's going on. Next up is the same first few seconds in slow motion from a different angle so that you guys can also see those first 3 attempts.
Go! Go!
At this moment, I'm feeling that his 4 fingers have entered the belt line. They're kind of scraping around that inguinal crease, lower belly, upper groin area. And I have a sneaking suspicion that he has a few fingers on the gun, but I know his palm is pressing the belt into my pants, into the rubber grip of the LCR, and into my belly, creating a bind. So as long as my abs are flexed, as long as my hips are rolled forward and my knees brought up, it is basically impossible for him to draw that gun any further out of the holster. So the gun isn't moved at this point, but I know I've got a hand on it and I need to switch strategies. So I am not able to open this up and drag off as I would want to in a above waist carry situation, but I have the benefit of knowing that as long as I keep this position, I don't really need to do anything else to maintain this gun in the holster. I'm gonna dig my right hand in just to confirm what I'm thinking, investigate a little bit, and as soon as I do that, I realize, yes, this is the case. I'm switching strategies. I'm gonna go for something else to buy a little time and see if I can make this aggressor get off of me without having to extend my hips and open up this gun for him to access.
Punch him, Kyle.
This is exactly what you don't want to hear Craig say in an Evo, but I hear it and I'm going to react. For those of you who can't hear this, he has said, "You're getting stabs in, it's not working. I want you to drop that knife and finish on the gun." I know that in order to finish on the gun, I am going to have to open up this can of worms where we are going to have to fight over this gun with four hands involved. And it is not going to be pretty from this position. This is a terrible place to get on this gun and to bring this gun into the fight. But you know what? This is why we pressure test stuff. This is why we do worst case scenario stuff. I oblige, toss the knife, and we are going to see how it goes with just the gun.
Mark's forgetting the gun.
Here's my Hail Mary play. I am extending the legs. I have got a right arm curled under and pinning and applying a lot of painful bone pressure from my inner wrist into his hand, being bound against my wrist and really my pelvis at this point, raking this guy's hand over some nasty bony surfaces. Probably about 300 pounds of pressure on this guy's hand at this point, and his grip is opening, but only just enough for me to sneak my left hand in on a gun that has just popped out of the holster. There's no nice way around this, guys. The only way that I can get him off of this gun is to get this gun out at this point.
Blade out, stab him in the neck. Watch your work to get that gun out.
My move to strip his grip does not go my way. His left arm comes off of the gun temporarily, but his right arm has managed to get a hold of the very tip of the muzzle of this gun. My left hand is barely holding on to the cylinder of this gun, but it's two hands on one extended arm versus two very compressed arms. Not a winning battle. The moment I realize that I don't have control of this gun, I ditch it and make a hip slide to go for positional dominance. My aggressor is still gun focused, and well, maybe that was the better call for him. I'm sliding out to try and take his back, and at that moment, he is able to break 2 shots. One of these shots is definitely entering my lower left side quad of my left leg, probably not hitting bone, probably still pretty painful, maybe debilitating. Second shot is going into the dirt. I will highlight though, the shot that is entering my leg at this angle has a high probability of also entering his leg and maybe entering into my right ankle. I am shot. How bad is it? I don't know. But I am still moving to take his back, take positional dominance. In the moment here, I hear the shots break. I felt nothing. In this mad scramble, I am just switching from limb control to limb control, trying to keep that gun pinned into his body, trying to keep it from being able to be rotated into mine. Switching into another control, and I end up in north-south right here. That is another shot that you heard break. Neither of us felt anything, and, no marks on either of us. Right here, I'm trying to use one of my favorite techniques I learned in Sambo, basically standing on his bicep shoulder with my knee. So trying to put 100% of my weight onto my kneecap, which is pinning his left shoulder to the ground. I realize I have a decent position here that I could stabilize. I'm trying to decide whether I should sit on as a head to rotate or stand to rotate over, but I've decided that I need to go for either an armbar to try and drag that gun out, again, not for the submission, just to try and get that gun, or to rotate that through into a Kimura to get that gun away.
Get that small gun back, right.
As I'm going in for the final set, I hear him say pinky, pinky, pinky. I realize that I have his pinky bent in the grip that I'm about to yank on. I immediately go limp, let go, and we end the Evo there because none of this is worth someone getting seriously injured over. So let's discuss the takeaways. First off, nobody wins an Evo. There are a long string of losses and subpar moments of performance in all of these, so we're not going to go there. I will say that I am happy with the performance of my gear setup. The deep carry definitely afforded me a whole lot of time and slop with an extra hand while I was able to retain a gun simply by flexing my belly and rotating my hips, where otherwise I would need to be much more actively fending on that gun. I'm also happy with my ability to actually access the deep carried tools. While I wasn't first to my pistol, I was able to fairly easily, within seconds in a fight, deploy a knife and get some good hits on. And, had Craig not focused this drill on the pistol, which I'm happy he did, had we not gone there, I think I could have maintained position with that gun stuck in my waistband indefinitely while I stitched up this dude and let him fall asleep on top of me. That is not a safe play win because third party could come in there and stomp on my head at any moment during this. Last takeaway is this. This is the second Evo that I have either run or watched involving a revolver, and I will say that I have yet to see one go down. I am certain that a semi-auto would have seriously malfunctioned on the first shot, and only one shot would have been fired in this. In this case, that may have gone my way. In the other 99 out of 100 Evos that you could watch, having less malfunctions in an entangled fight would be better for the defender. Another serious benefit that I saw the revolver have in this Evo was that this tiny footprint and this rounded design of a gun was incredibly hard to pry out of someone's hands that had a firing grip on it. Now, I was fighting for this gun as an aggressor would fight for a gun, and it was difficult. But I will admit that this is a double-edged sword. Because this gun was taken from me, it was basically impossible to get back without going so far as to, well, dropping into an armbar or a crushing Kimura to retrieve. So yes, I would have to break this dude's arm off of the gun to have a hope of getting that gun out of his cold, dead hand. I'm going to say that is an advantage in the majority of cases that I would hope to be in, and the majority of cases that I see in gunfight footage. But it can go both ways. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this longer video, a little different than the content that I am putting out normally. As always, keep training, stay safe.